Someone just blew up the Rolex subreddit with news that this shiny new Daytona, dressed in yellow gold and wearing a Tiffany-ish dial, is already on the grey market for 4.5 times retail. That's not resale, that's daylight robbery with a polished clasp. And the wild part? It's not even really Tiffany, just a good impersonation with an expensive punchline. Welcome back to Opulent Oasis. Today, we're cracking open the Rolex market to see what's really brewing under the surface. So here's the tea. Morgan Stanley and watch charts say the secondary market only dipped 0.4% in Q1. That's basically a paper cut compared to last year's bloodbath. But while the whole market chills, Rolex, AP, and Patek are out here bench pressing the entire industry like it's light work. Witty truth. If this were a group project, those three brands just did the PowerPoint, the research, and the damn conclusion slide. Everyone else just showed up late and asked for credit. But let's not get too cozy. Some Rolex models are flying off shelves, others are gathering cobwebs online. We're not in a bull market, we're in a weird limbo, where hype and hesitation are having brunch together. We'll break down which watches are heating up, which ones are quietly tanking, and whether this chill is the calm or the cue to run. Let's dig in. How Swiss watch brands performed. Morgan Stanley just dropped its Q1 watch report, and guess what? Out of 35 Swiss brands, only 2 managed to stay in the green. Rolex and, brace yourself, Mido. Mido, like showing up to a Ferrari meet in a Honda and somehow winning best in show. Omega flatlined, Swatch fell almost 9%, and the Moon Swatch buzz, yeah, it's back on Earth with the rest of us. Meanwhile, Rolex SA, Rolex plus Tudor, crawled up 0.3%, but Rolex Solo, a respectable 0.4% gain. Not a victory lap, but definitely a confident stroll. Datejust edged up 0.8%, Day-Date hit 1%, and sporty models like the GMT and Yachtmaster gave us small but smug price nudges. Rolex didn't need fireworks, it just kept doing Rolex things while everyone else scrambled for footing. Tudor dropped 2%, which sounds bad until you remember 2024 was a full-on faceplant. And here's where it gets interesting. We're in a soft market now. Buyers are chill, no one's panicking to pull the trigger, and dealers are quietly sweating in their double-breasted suits. In this kind of market, listings sit longer, sellers offer extras, and that firm price suddenly comes with a wink. The power dynamic has flipped, and unless you're Rolex, you're probably not calling the shots. Flashback to 2022, it was chaos in a tux. Pieces like the John Mayer Daytona were flying for 6 figures, and sellers didn't even have time to blink before they were gone. Now, it's calmer, but the crown is still climbing. Over a full year, Rolex's resale index outperformed Swatch and LVMH's watch divisions by 3.5 points. Average resale, 15% above retail. Rolex isn't riding the market, it is the market. Ask any dealer. It pays the bills, funds the next shipment, and probably buys the espresso machine too. And yeah, value retention can be a divisive topic. Some treat it like gospel, others say it ruins the fun. But here's the deal. Every watch has value retention. Rolex just wrote the manual on it. Pause for a moment. Why not join our Opulent Oasis community? Hit subscribe to stay in the loop. Now, let's continue our journey. Value retention. Here's the math. Take the resale price, divide by retail, subtract 1. Boom, you've got value retention. In Submariner terms, that's a clean 20% gain. Your bank account could never. Rolex is sitting pretty at 15% on average. Patek's not far behind. Omega's, well, showing up. But here's the kicker. While the headline figure dipped, like-for-like numbers actually rose 0.2%. That's nerd speak for the watches that stayed didn't just hold up, they got pricier. Why the difference? Rolex dropped 15 OP models, including the Hype Beast Celebration dial, which dragged the average down, but stripped the noise and the catalogs quietly flexing. So yeah, behind the chaos, Rolex is still climbing, and now it's time to find out which models are doing the heavy lifting. Those collections pull the freight. So, who's carrying Rolex on their back right now? Easy. GMT Masters leading with a 40% markup. The Batman and Sprite still print money. Someone called them airport hits, which is funny until you realize they might actually be easier to snag between gates. Daytona's close behind at 38%, and the Oyster Perpetual, aka the starter Rolex, is pulling a wild 30%. Meanwhile, the Datejust is chilling at 12%, and the Submariner's cruising at 14%. Not flashy, just steady, like that guy who shows up early but never brags. On the flip side, day-date's slightly underwater, and the Sea Dweller, sinking, down 15%. Let's be honest, that thing wears like a soup can. Bottom line, sport watches win. Flashier, heavier stuff? Not so much. Rolex CPO. In 2022, Rolex dropped its CPO program. Official dealers reselling over 3-year-old watches with a new warranty and fancy box. Sounds great until you see the 30% markup. Yeah, it's legit, but most buyers still pick price over paperwork. And get this, CPO partners are leaving the program, not joining. Even weirder? The stock is mostly Datejusts and Daytonas. Meanwhile, GMTs and OPs, the ones actually holding value, are mostly MIA. Weird strategy, or just the good stuff vanishing before it hits the shelf? You tell us. What makes Rolex so successful? Rolex watches are flying off the shelves faster, 1.8% more sold within 30 days than this time last year. But here's the kicker. While some pieces are zipping out, others are just collecting dust. It's like a boutique with a revolving door and a storage problem. That's the real tension. Tight supply, faster flips, but aging stock creeping up behind the scenes. Not a meltdown, not a mania, just Rolex doing its usual slow burn magic with a hint of market heartburn. So why should we care? Because this weird balance says a lot about where 2025 is heading. The market isn't crashing or booming, it's shifting. And when collectors get nervous, they go with what they know, Rolex. We're seeing a full-on flight to quality. Demand softens, wallets get shy, and suddenly Rolex becomes less of a splurge and more of a safety net. That 15% resale premium, that's not just brand clout, it's market instinct. Even the low-drama models that usually coast near retail are holding firm like they've got something to prove. Bottom line, when everything feels uncertain, the crown stays steady. It's not loud, it's not flashy, it just quietly wins. The big picture. Let's be honest, when the market gets weird, buyers don't flinch, they default, and that default is Rolex. Overpaying for a crown? Sure. Betting on a maybe brand? Not a chance. Rolex's certified pre-owned program locked that in. By funneling resale through 214 chosen shops and charging 30% extra for a green tag, they've turned pre-owned into premium. It's not just resale, it's Rolex-approved resale, like flipping your own merch and calling it couture. Then there's the product game. Celebration dials, quietly axed, land dweller, dropped in March, but good luck finding one. Discontinue what's hot, trickle out something new, and just like that, scarcity stays chic and shelves stay empty. So here we are, prices inching up, resale now working for Rolex, and a lineup that stays in demand without trying too hard. They're not just selling watches, they're running the market. Collectors get consistency, flippers get smaller wins, and Rolex still playing 4D chess while everyone else is counting links. Thanks to Watch Charts and Morgan Stanley for the data drop, and if you haven't hit the pinned comment to help us perfect our watch rolls, now's the time. Catch you in the next one, right here on Opulent Oasis.